On November 1st, 2011, Freebird Studios released To the Moon, an adventure game made on RPG Maker XP, receiving many awards and critical acclaim, even going on to inexplicably inspire Bart Howard's timeless song more than 50 years earlier. The year is now 2024, and this plucky little indie game has grown into a plucky little empire, with 2 direct sequels, comics, a card game, all sorts of merchandise, and an animated film adaptation supposedly still being in the works. And yet, despite their success, Freebird's passion project is still relatively niche. They've clearly done well for an indie team considering how many sequels we have, but none of what came after has received the same popularity that the original title once did. As a new fan of the series, I think that's a real shame. Finding Paradise and Imposter Factory are worthy continuations with real depth and weight. They deserve to be discussed outside of their designated communities. But I'm willing to bet a good amount of you aren't super familiar with these games. Worry not, dear viewer, for I, silly internet video man, shall inform you on why you should play To the Moon and its sequels. For starters, let's talk plot. To the Moon and Finding Paradise follow Doctors Neil Watts and Eva Roslin, who work for the Sigmund Corporation, an organization who sends them to the homes of those who are not long for this world with a special device. At the request of the dying, they are able to alter their memories in order to grant them peace at their final moments, allowing unfulfilled dreams and regrets to be dealt with. Doing this requires a thorough exploration of the patient's memories, as any alterations made must follow some kind of logic with the pre-existing memories before the changes. The central mystery of the first 2 games revolves around the how and the why of these changes. John Wiles wishes to go to the moon, but is unable to recall why he feels so intensely about such a wish, only that he feels strongly enough about it to willingly have his memories changed. And Colin Reeds is unsure about what he wants in the first place, only that the changes should be as minor as possible. As for Imposter Factory, its initial premise is quite different, starring a man named Quincy who discovers a pair of bodies, and seems to have the power to rewind time by washing his hands in the sink. Its core mystery revolves around the nature of this phenomenon, and what possible connections this game may have to the prior entries. For this reason, I'll speak more of the first 2 games, both because of the greater similarities, and because I'd argue that not knowing what happens next in Imposter Factory is half of the fun. The gameplay in this series is quite minimal. Most of the time, you'll be walking around, finding bits of the story in each area, and then moving on to the next. This is occasionally switched up with panel puzzles. The SigCorp series is focused on its narrative, and if you aren't interested in that, it may not be for you. Needless to say, those narratives are excellent, and absolutely worth your time. To the Moon, and what comes after, poses questions about mortality. How should we live our lives? Is it better to be remembered, but to suffer to get there? Or to live as you please, but remain destined to be forgotten? Are lies wholly negative if they have the capacity to give us peace? Or should we accept things as they are, even if it's painful? I will say, I think SigCorp stumbles a bit in that last point. Despite some objections being raised, I feel there's great potential to explore the moral implications of this organization's actions. 90% of the time, they are portrayed as solely a force for good, but their technology could easily be misused by bad actors for nefarious purposes. And I would like to see more of SigCorp's dark side in the future. Then again, maybe they just aren't interested in telling that sort of story. And as for what we do get, are stories which play with time. We go backwards through John's history and jump back and forth through Colin's. These are stories focused on the relationships between its protagonists, the heroines all receiving great focus and depth. They may seem similar at a first glance, but are all quite different in essence, and those bonds are in part conveyed with music. To the Moon's For River is deliberately simple in its construction. As a gift from John to River, it shows his average abilities at the piano, giving the song a very DIY feel to it. Similarly, when Colin grew frustrated with his lacking abilities at the cello, his friend Faye suggested he simply rely on his scales. This in turn leads to the scale song, Scales are then incorporated into Faye's own theme. Music being narratively significant isn't a new concept by any means, but it allows the soundtrack to stand out and have more meaning as a consequence. And it's this music that allows these narratives to be so emotionally potent. When a story makes me feel things, I'm gonna remember that because I know it's an exception. And I was moved by this series. In truth, I received all of these games as gifts. They hold great significance to me for that reason, especially To the Moon for all sorts of personal reasons I can't even begin to articulate. They mean so much to me, and it feels I've only conveyed a fraction of that in this video. With the beach episode on the horizon, along with an RPG spin-off, I doubt this will be the last I see of these characters. I look forward to playing what comes next. And if I've done my job right, you might give this series a shot. Maybe you'll be waiting there with me. Thanks for watching. And if you feel so inclined, maybe you could subscribe. As a small channel, it would mean a lot. Have a great day, and I'll see you all some other time. Assuming I can keep an upload schedule. Okay, bye!